Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're taking a look at another Hiusian Zoroark VSTAR deck, except this time it will be featuring Lucario from Brilliant Stars. And so basically the idea behind this like variant of Zoroark is you have Zoroark to take big one-shots, Lucario can like generate damage for you as well as build itself up to take a one-shot, and it hits weakness on opposing Zoroarks, Arceus, stuff like that. Also gives you a nice single prize attacker that can hit some pretty solid damage. So that's kind of the idea behind this one. It is a little bit more like, kind of a little bit more matchup reliant than the Arceus version that I did a video on yesterday. It's also definitely less consistent than the Arceus version. I think each like Zoroark variant, despite being like, I think potentially, with at least with the cards we have now, they're all going to be kind of similar in how you build them. But they all will have their strengths and their weaknesses. The Arceus one is that it is pretty consistent. This one's strength that it'll hit some weaknesses, and it doesn't always need Gapejaw Bog to be able to set up, which is always really nice. So let's just get on to the list. Of course, this will be post-rotation. I said this last video. If you don't want me doing post-rotation content, please don't leave a comment. This is my channel. I'll do what I want once again. But we're starting off with our Zoroark. So of course, we have 3 copies of Hiusian Zoroark VSTAR, which has the attack Baleful Curse that does 50 damage for each Pokemon you have in play with damage counters on it for 2 colorless energy. So you can pay this double turbo energy or just 2 attachments. Then the VSTAR Power Phantom Star. So to build it allows you to discard a hand and draw 7 cards. So really nice, well-rounded card that can take really pretty easy one-shots, as well as having a really nice ability that will help you set up. I talked a little bit more about this card in my last video, so go check out that one if you want. And then we also have 4 copies of the V in the deck as well, because the V, you have to play it to the end of the V-Star, obviously, but also the attacks aren't too shabby. For free, you can do 30 damage and switch it, so you can get this guy out of harm's way if you are going second. And yeah, I talked about this card a little bit more in the last one. Again, so if you want to know more about the V, go look at that video. It's just, overall, I think it's a pretty solid V. It's not the best we've seen, but it's also not like the greatest either. But for an evolving V, we will take it. Going into our Lucario, we have 4 copies of Riolu. I am playing the one from Brilliant Stars, because 2 fighting energy for 50 damage is actually pretty solid. If you still have a choice bet on there, you're doing 80 damage, and then if you have a Sparkling Hiusian in play, you're hitting 120, which on its own is not bad. Against a Pokemon that's weak to fighting, you'll be hitting 240 with weakness, which is pretty good. Just on like a little baby Pokemon that's really just here to evolve mainly. That's not bad. So Riolu can hit some pretty solid damage. 250 damage, not bad actually. I don't know exactly what the other one does. I believe it's probably worse than this one. I haven't totally looked at that one. This is also the one I have like the most of, so I'm playing it. But I think this one is probably going to be the best Riolu to play. Now going into other Lucarios, we're only playing 2 Lucario. This might seem a little bit weird, but in all honesty, Lucario is really only here to generate damage and to get some energy in play. He's not really here as a great attacker. He can attack, and he's a pretty decent attacker. So if you do need a single prize attacker to win a matchup, you need a Pokemon that is fighting type to win a matchup, Lucario will do the job very, very nicely. But he's mainly going to be here just to generate damage, to move around with the damage pump, as well as get energy into play that you can energy switch off of him onto the Zoroark, so you don't have to use the double turbo energy when potentially that -20 will matter, which I think is definitely going to be a strength of this deck, is that you can attack with double fighting energy or double basic energy pretty consistently, even if you don't get the attachment down turn 1, because you do have access to energy switches and Lucario. So yeah, Lucario also makes it so you don't always need a Gapejaw Bog in play, which is super nice, because Gapejaw Bog is going to be kind of a pain to search out of the deck. There's no great way for stadium search, and that's once again one of the strengths of the Arceus variant, I think, is that you have the V-Star power to search out the Gapejaw Bog exactly when you need it, like turn 2. But this Lucario, before you find a Gapejaw Bog, can make do along with damage pumps to hit some solid damage. You're probably not going to be hitting one-shots, but it'll make do, and you can with the damage pumps to get damage around before you're able to find a Gapejaw Bog and really hit those big one-hit numbers with the Hiusian Zoroark. And next we have Kind of like the same support Pokemon lineup as these Arceus variant, playing one copy of Luminion, which is um, two less than the Arceus one, but Luminion is still a really good card. We're not playing the full 3 because we're not playing as heavy Adventurous Discovery Engine as we were in the Arceus variant because we don't have as many V Pokemon. Search out, but Luminion is still a great support Pokemon to play, especially post rotation. One copy of Dunsparce, of course, because you need to get rid of the weakness on your Zoroark. But does not matter as much in this deck because we have an alternate attacker in the Lucario. In the Arceus version, all of our attackers are weak to fighting, which kind of stinks. But with the Dunsparce, we can turn off the weakness as well as we also get an attacker in Lucario to deal with Pokemon that potentially will be hitting our Zoroark for weakness. The last Pokemon, once again, one copy of Sparkling Kalucha, and I think this will be probably the Sparkling Pokemon of choice in a lot of Zoroark decks, just because it does allow you to get that reach. You could maybe play Greninja in some of them, like maybe a Melony-based version, you will play the Greninja, but I think overall Sparkling Kalucha will be the one you're going to play in a majority of Zoroark decks. Moving on to our supporters, 4 copies of Professor's Research. Once again, this did get a reprint in Blank Stars, so we can play it. Same thing as Boss's Orders. 2 copies of Boss's Orders. We can search out Luminion if we do need it. And we haven't used our Luminion yet, obviously. But, Boston Research, both got reprints from Blank Stars, so we'll play them, because they're just really good cards. Now, on to the other, one of supporters. 1 copy of Adventurous Discovery. Because Adventurous Discovery is still a solid card for searching out a lot of basics at the same time. One of the reasons we're playing, we have to play 4 Riolu, is that they are going to be kind of hard to search out. We don't have Adventurous Discovery to search them out. The only way we're finding these guys is with the Great Ball and Ultra Ball. So we also are playing Adventurous Discovery, so we can search out all our Vs as well. 1 copy of Charon's Care, just because Charon's Care is a really good card, alongside the Hiusian Zoroark. 1 copy of Raihan, once again, just because Raihan is a super solid card, especially in this version where we're more basic energy focused. We can use Raihan to accelerate energy onto our Hiusian Zoroark, and then search out a card we need and attach return, so we don't have to find a double turbo energy. It also does. You can also Raihan to Lucario to power that guy up faster to take a big one shot with the Lucario. So Raihan definitely does has more option, I think, in this build than the other Arceus one. And then 1 copy of Roxanne. So you can kind of see so far how we're largely going to be kind of pretty similar to the Arceus one in terms of our card counts. The other one we have the 4 Research, 2 Boss, the 4/3 Zoroark, the Charon's Care, Roxanne, Raihan. Even the item card counts are the same. We have 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Great Ball, 4 Damage Pump, stuff like that. So yeah, you can really kind of see how what I mean by a lot of, I feel like Zoroark builds will be pretty similar until we get different cards that potentially will make one better than the other. But like I mentioned, they all will have their strengths and weaknesses, I think. 4 copies of Gapejaw Bog, because you need to play 4 copies of Gapejaw Bog in Zoroark decks so you can get that energy, or you can get that damage down to really start taking 1-hit KOs with your Zoroark as fast as possible. Obviously, that is the goal of the Zoroark deck, is just to take knockouts fast. And if you do that, you'll probably be winning a lot of games. So Gapejaw Bog is really, really important to that strategy. Lucario is there to help you alongside that strategy, but ultimately Gapejaw Bog will be the main way we're getting damage into play still. All right, item cards, 4 copies of Ultra Ball, because Ultra Ball is the best search card at post rotation. And unfortunately, we do have to play 4 copies of Great Ball because there's no other really great search out other than Great Ball in the format. You do a Battle VIP Pass, which you could play maybe 1 or 2 of in this deck because you want to get 2 Pokemon out turn 1, and that's a Riolu and a Hiusian Zoroark. So maybe Battle VIP Pass would work in this version, but usually in Zoroark decks, you're not going to want to be playing Battle VIP Pass because when you play Battle VIP Pass, it does not activate Gapejaw Bog because Gapejaw Bog only activates when you play the Pokemon from your hand, and VIP Pass brings them from the deck. So unfortunately, we are going to have to resort to Great Ball, which feels bad, honestly, because Great Ball is not always a super consistent card. But, it's what we have, so it's what we're going to play. 4 copies of Damage Pump. Like I mentioned, you can damage pump the damage off Lucario onto something else, so you don't have to totally rely on Gapejaw Bog. But yeah, that's just probably going to be the main reason for playing damage pump in this build, is because you won't be totally reliant on Gapejaw Bog to get your damage in play. You have Lucario to do that as well. We have 2 copies of Energy Lotto, which is not as many as the other Arceus version, because we don't rely as heavily on double turbo energy. We can rely more on our basic energies, Lucario, Energy Switch, stuff like that. But still, having Energy Lotto to search out energies is to be like potentially a 3rd and 4th copy of Double Turbo if we really need that. And just like more ways to find fighting energy turn 1 is also going to be great. 2 copies of Switch, because Switch is a good card and you have to play it so you can move your board around. Nothing really more to say there. 2 copies of Energy Switch. I've been talking about this one the whole video pretty much, and this is how you can rely on your basic energies more, because Lucario will accelerate energies to itself as well as put damage on it. So you can just put damage on Lucario, search an energy switch it to the Zoroark, and then you have a way to attack for full damage without having to get the reduction of the double turbo energy. And overall, Energy Switch is just a solid card, because you can, like, if you have both your Lucarios in play, you can be Roaring Resolve to both of them, and then you can Energy Switch off one onto the other, so it has more energy. So you can take a one-shot with Lucario if you have to faster, which is also something that this list does have the option to do. Energy cards, we have 2 copies of Double Turbo Energy, because even though we don't rely on it nearly as much as the other versions, it's still undeniably a good card to play with Zoroark, so we are still playing 2 copies of it, as well as 10 copies of Basic Energy, Basic Fighting Energy, of course. And yeah, that'll be the list. So far, with the couple of Zoroark variants that I've built, this one has felt surprisingly strong. I did not expect this one to feel as strong as it did. But as I've been talking about the whole video, it definitely does have its strengths and weaknesses. The weakness is it can be kind of a pain to set up sometimes if you don't find a Gapejaw Bog by like turn 3, which can really stink sometimes. But that is what it is when you play Pokemon. Sometimes you don't always hit what you need, and that is just the variance of the game. But yeah, that'll do it for the video. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more content, I'm hopefully to do more Zoroark decks. I have just an entire list of Zoroark variants to cover, and there's just kind of an endless amount, just because Zoroark is such a versatile card, much like Zoroark GX was, and it can be played with a whole bunch of different stuff, which is super cool to see. I really love to see cards that can just be paired with anything, stuff like Arceus, and even like Baby Galarian Moltres right now is kind of paired with like everything, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's going to do it. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.